Hare Krishna. Welcome you all for our e-Gurukula sessions. And today is a Tuesday. There is a story session. And as we're reading about Mahabharata series, right? So one of the important thing we should know that how to act in this world, how to respond to the different situations. And one can remain good for himself, but then when we have to deal with others or when we have to spread the mission as Srila Prabhupada did, right? If Prabhupada wanted, he would have stayed happily in Vrindavan in India and would have gone back home, back to God himself, just by doing chanting and going on. But no, Prabhupada was not satisfied with himself. He wanted to take many, many more and spread this message every town and village around. So for that purpose, we should learn how a leader should act, how a king should behave, because king, a leader are the one who plan, who think about the future, who made the strategies, who make the plans, right? And that's what then they can make the change in the society. And that's what we learn from the life of Pandavas, especially Yudhishthir Maharaj. Correct? How he was thinking every time. He learned from Bhishma, he learned from Lord Krishna, he learned from his many other teachers and everyone around. Right? And that's what it could make it such a great change in their life. So that's what Mahabharata helps us in that regard, because especially from life of Pandavas, we learned how to deal, so that we can live ourselves also properly and we can make others also present Krishna consciousness also nicely. So let us see today's topic. Om Adnyana Timirandhasya Dhyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajata Sahagana Raghunathan Tam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Tamsha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatadeshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauratvashe Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So let me open the book here. Yeah. You all are able to see the screen here? Where the screen is
Yes,
visible?
probably. Yes,
Anyone knows where we had stopped last week? Mahabharata. What's happening now? Yeah.
Prabhuji, where Yudhishthir.
Yeah. Yeah. Yudhishthir wants. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Just shared here.
Prabhuji, Kripa.
Yeah. So just maintain a mute now. I'll read out here, okay? Yudhishthir was fearful. Perhaps Bhima had been killed, right? So that's all things we read. Then Bhima comes back, and then Yudhishthir warns. Yudhishthir was shocked to learn of his cousin's antagonism. But Yudhishthir ordered his brother to remain silent. They should tell no one about what had occurred. No need to take any revenge. Right? So
Prabhuji, because Dhritarashtra would support to
yeah.
uh, support
Kunti,
to Duryodhana.
correct. He was supporting. we did a lot of comparisons, also various examples. So Kunti, however, confined in Vidur, he advised her to follow Yudhishthira's suggestion. Thus, the Pandavas said nothing, but from that day forward, they became vigilant, always watching the Kauravas, especially Duryodhan and Dushasan. So this was, yeah. So we have to remain vigilant. You understand this word vigilant? What is meaning by vigilant? What is meaning by vigilance? There is a vigilance team. The police has a vigilance team. Vigilance means keep the eyes open and look around. What are the dangers are there so that we can safeguard oneself. So as a devotee, against what we have to remain vigilant ourselves. Yeah. Yeah, when we live in this material world. So here Pandavas have to remain vigilant against the plan of Kauravas. What further atrocities they will create, don't know. Right? Be watchful. Yeah, so Jasithur is writing, we have to be vigilant of Maya. Right, the Lord's external energy, which allures us. All of you remember that picture we showed, Maya is offering a gift to that child. And the child says, no, because he's having a ABCD with him. He has an association of devotees. He has a Prabhupada books, Bhagavad Gita and all. He is chanting. He has Krishna Prasadam. So because of that, he is able to say no to Maya. But still without, can you give some example who was not vigilant? And that's what he left his Krishna consciousness. He could not practice.
Bharat. Bharat.
Very good. Bharat Maharaj. Right? He became caught up by the deer. Right? Yeah. Ajamil is another example. Right? He was not vigilant about his mind is forcing him on the thought of that prostitute. And that's what he also gave up all his bad character, all his good habits and got caught up with the bad character. So we don't know what way the things comes. It starts from the small, but then it becomes, it's enter like a needle, comes out like a plow. Right? So slowly we start changing. Like let's say, I could not chant my rounds today. So I have to be watchful that I should never miss my chanting. Why I missed my chanting today? Oh, because I think I postponed my things. Or I got up late. Why I got up late? Because I forgot to put my alarm. Or I did not, I slept somewhere else only so that nobody could wake me up. We have to keep many reasons. We have to understand. So we should be vigilant about our practices. So at least we should do our homework properly. Then Krishna will give the strength to fight against Maya, which makes us forgetful of the good things and we get carried away with it. Like let's say we are sitting on a mobile. So we should be vigilant that we don't get into unnecessary things. Right? You sit on your computers or whatever for your work or some things you're getting on for schools. We should be vigilant, not to unnecessary browse or go here, there. Otherwise, we will get lost. So Yudhishthir Maharaj and Pandavas, they decided we should be vigilant now. Let's see further. Next plot against the Pandavas. Besides Gandhari's 100 sons, Dhritarashtra had conceived another son by a servant maid who had waited on him during his wife's lengthy pregnancy. So all of you know, right? Gandhari could not give birth. It was delayed. Already Kunti and all, they had given a birth. So during that time, another maid servant Dhritarashtra conceived through. Unlike his half brothers, this boy, his name is Yutsu. Right? His name was Yutsu. Felt no envy and antagonism towards the Pandavas or antagonism towards them. One day, he secretly informed Yudhishthir that Duryodhan, who had been deeply disappointed to see that his plan to kill Bhima had failed, had again cooked a large quantity of the deadly Datura poison into Bhima's enormous meal. Right. So this is a well-wisher. He was a well-wisher of Pandavas in that sense. He had no envy, but then now he gave a warning that Duryodhana has plotted this. He has mixed the one Datura poison, one plant named Datura. It has a poison in that. He has made a Bhima's meals. He has mixed it, huge quantity it was. So then let's see what happened. Bhima laughed when he heard the news. Having drunk the Naga's celestial elixir, he had no fear of Duryodhana. He sat down before him and cheerfully consumed the entire quantity of poison food. Duryodhana was amazed to see that Bhima was not in the least affected. He gazed at the Pandava with open hatred. Right, so nothing could happen because Bhima had already anti-poison inside. So something similar also we can understand in our life also. You know, the show one Chawanprash advertisement in our childhood we used to see. Right, the boy takes Chawanprash before going to school, and then he has an aura on his body, and some kind of a white color aura they show light. And then his friend sneezes or he gets some kind of thing, germs comes on his body, but nothing happened to him. You know this ad? You have seen?
Prabhuji,
Yeah.
Prabhuji, I have a doubt.
Yeah, yeah. We'll take doubts at the end. Just a minute. This otherwise discussion will get flowed differently. We have doubt session at the end. Yeah, you know that ad, right? So Bhima had that inbuilt immunity system against all kinds of poisons or whatever it can take. He was ready to digest it. Right. So we also, as a devotee, we should have that inbuilt immunity system. By knowingly, I mean knowingly, unknowingly, something we also get in with some wrong things, we should be able to undo that effect of that wrong things happening in our life. So these youths who helped the another son of Dhritarashtra, he helped regarding that. But of course, Bhima, even if without knowing also he would have eaten, nothing could have happened to Bhima. Although the Kaurava princes detested the Pandavas, Bhishma and Vidur loved them and would spend much time with the five virtuous and gentle princes, Bhishma and Vidur. So Kauravas they did not much liked, but Bhishma and Vidur, they always in a very good relations with them. Bhishma had been especially fatherly toward them since the time they had arrived from the forest. He had been fond of Pandu. Now he felt the same fondness for Pandu's sons. The boys reciprocated his love and served him in various ways. So, what is the relationship, Pandu and Bhishma? Relationship is not mentioned here, but I hope all of you know. What is the relationship of a Bhishma and a Pandu? Pandavas. We should not forget that relationship. Yeah. It's a grandsons, grandfather and a grandsons. So generally, grandfather has a more love than even the father sometimes. Srila Prabhupada is our grandfather. So Bhishma had a great love for Pandu, and obviously now Pandu is not there, so Pandu's sons. So they had a sympathy for Pandavas. The Pandavas were also favored by their military teacher Kripa. Kripa was the noble-minded son of a Brahmin who had adopted the warrior.
Prabhuji, Kripacharya.
Yes, yes, who had adopted the warrior's profession. He told the princess his history. His father, a rishi named Gautama, had been engaged in a fierce austerities and a weaponry practices for which he had an affinity. Affinity means attraction, affection. So his father was very fond of fights, weapons, and things. Gautama's asceticism and martial skills were so great that even Indra feared the rishi might exceed him in power and usurp his position in heaven. So Gautama is then on the planet Earth and Indra is in the heaven. But somehow here it is being said Indra had that insecurity that he may take away my post. He may become more powerful than him. He was so powerful using weapons and arts. Insecurity. So that's the thing. That anxious god therefore sent a beautiful Apsara, a heavenly nymph, to divert Gautama from his asceticism. So when the Rishi saw the semi-clad Apsara before him, he lost control of his mind, and the semen fell from his body. It landed in a clump of heath, and from it the two children were born. So Gautama fled after seeing the Apsara, not realizing that he had miraculously sired the children. Soon after he left, some of the king's soldiers found the two babies and brought them into Hastinapur. Right. So this is how here, especially about Indra's. Yeah. Anyone knows any other episodes? Indra sending some heavenly ladies to allure the sages because Indra had a fear. Indra has an insecurity of the sages may overpower his post or something. So he tried to seduce the sages. Very famous episodes.
Prabhuji, Agastya Muni.
Agastya Muni, which episode? I'm not sure. Yeah, Naranarayan Rishi is one correct. Yeah, famous episode. They were none other than Lord Krishna and Arjun himself. So rather, Indra's beauties were fainted, and they create a beautiful Urvashi from their body and send Indra as a gift. You take this, right? So there. Huh?
No, I mean.
Yeah. It was about.
Means some Rishi's wife he became.
Yeah, Vishwamitra, yeah. Yeah, Vishwamitra also 2 times he failed. One was Apsara, one was Urvashi, and then Menaka, various. The point is distractions. So that then what happened? Then their powers, their focus is being distracted. That's why we have to be careful. We should not get lose our concentration. Nowadays we get carried away by sports, by games, by movies. We have to be careful. Otherwise, all our focus, concentration becomes diluted. In your science, you study about concentrated acid and diluted acid. You study the term still now or not in your science? I don't know.
No, Prabhuji.
Yeah, you'll study later when you'll go 9th and 10th standard. So concentrated acid means it's a very, very hot, very, very dangerous. One drop also will be burn the skin. That is so deadly. Diluted acid means you mix water in that, like a milk, pure milk and a diluted milk. You mix water, it loses its power. So same way, if you don't have a if you get distracted, then our concentration also goes away. So Gautama's powers were lost, and that's what Indra could keep himself safe. He has a fear that he may overpower me. So he uses distractions for the various ways. So today's theme can be whole distractions only. Beginning also we read, right? Viruses. We should be vigilant. So what happens? Sages and all they sit in a meadow. One more very famous episode. Who remember? Who got distracted? In that case, it was not by Indra, but it was in a same setting. He was also sage, but then some ladies come, and then that's what he also get carried away, distracted. But that was for the Nobel cause. Very famous episode. Very famous means, yeah, if you know that, yeah. It comes in Ramayana, especially in that kingdom there were no. Who? There were no rains in that king's place, and that's what he was being called. So now to call him out, anyone knows his name?
Janak. King Janak.
King Janak, yeah, correct. Name is King Janak, but who was that sage who was been called? Ramayana, anyone heard? He was being called. So then he was called by alluring him through the ladies of the palace. They disguise themselves as a saintly people. He had never seen the ladies. That sage was deep in the forest. Really, nobody knows Ramayana episode. He had a haunts. We covered in our wisdom tale also. He had a haunts of a deer. That's why his name was. With that name, his name was. He had a deer's horn on his body, on his head. He was born from that way. His name was Rishishringa. You remembered? Rishishringa. Right? So he was I think father name was Manduk Muni, if I'm not Manduk, some other name. So Rishishringa was there in the forest, and he was so pure. He was raised and kept in the forest only, because his father somehow, he was also got allured by Apsara, but now he don't wanted to make his son to get carried away. So he raises him in a forest only. No palace, no city, nothing. So that's why he was not knowing only any apsaras or any girls or like that. But then that king's place, there were no rains in his kingdom, and only solution was to bring some great soul, the pure person. If he steps inside the kingdom, then all the sins will be cleared of that king, and then the rains will shower. And then there also the sages, they mentioned that we have to get that Rishi Shringa. He is the most pure person. And how to get him then? Because his father is there, they will not allow. So one day father was out. Anyone remember that story or not yet? And then the ladies of the king, ladies of the palace, they dress themselves as a sage. And then this sage feels gets go away with them, and that's what he goes out. It's like that. Many episodes we find in the scripture. So basically, we have to keep ourselves very proper. We don't get carried away by distractions. So sometimes later, Gautama, understanding everything by his mystic power, came to the city and explained to the king what had happened. The Rishi taught his son all his military skills, and in time, Kripa became the teacher of the princess. So that's what Kripa narrated his history, how he became a military art teacher for them. So Gautama, two sons, and then Gautama runs away, but then Kripa and its two sons were carried to the kingdom, and that's what Gautama comes and teaches for them. Bhishma was pleased with Kripa's teaching. The boys were becoming highly adept at weaponry, but he wanted them to learn the secrets of the celestial weapons as well, so that they would be unmatched in warfare. Celestial means what? What is meaning by celestial weapons?
Godly weapons.
Godly weapons, yeah, celestial. Not earthly weapons. Like here I can learn about how to move the sword, how to shoot the arrow, but there are godly weapons. Like that Arjuna gets the celestial weapon from Lord Shiva. What is that? What is that name? Pashupati Astra. Like that, the many celestial weapons given by the gods. So Bhishma wanted the Pandavas to become unmatched by anyone, all three planetary systems. So that also he wanted to. Kripa did not have this knowledge. So Bhishma had therefore been searching for a suitable teacher to take the princess further in a military science. Right. So Bhishma wanted to make sure they learn more. So Kripa was not aware about this science. So he was looking. None he had seen had impressed him as qualified as to train the princess. Then one day the boys ran to Bhishma with a strange tale to tell. They had been out playing ball in the woods. Tale to tell, okay, wisdom tale, the tale and then tale to tell. The ball fell into a deep, dry well, and the princess could not recover it. So they were playing as a children, they were playing with the ball, but then that ball fell into the well. Nobody was able to take it. As they stood by the well looking at one
This
another,
story, my mother.
another in embarrassment, a dark man approached them. He was a Brahmin, appearing emaciated and poor, but with a bright
Prabhuji, dark man is the Dronacharya, Prabhuji.
Yeah, please, if some of you know, please maintain silence. Let's read. Everyone will get to know. What is, He was a Brahmin, appearing emaciated and poor, but with a bright effulgence and glowing eyes. The princess surrounded the Brahmin and asked if he could help them. Smiling a little, the Brahmin said, "Shame upon your prowess as warriors. What use in your skill in arms if you cannot even retrieve a lost ball?" Right? If you give me a meal, I will recover the ball as well as this ring of mine. So he was so powerful. He was telling, "Arey, shame upon you, boys, warriors. You call yourself warriors. You're not able to pick up one ball from well. If you give me my meal, I will get your ball and my ring also." He then took off his ring and threw it into the well. So Yudhishthir said to him, "O Brahmin, if you can recover the ball and the ring, then the Kripa's permission, we shall ensure that you are maintained for your whole life." Right. So we'll give not only one meal, but we'll maintain you all throughout your life. The Brahmin took a handful of long grasses and said, "Watch as I invest these grasses with the power of weapons. With these, I shall pierce the ball and bring it to the surface." So with the blade of grass, right? He chanted mantras and threw the grasses one by one into the well. The first one pierced the ball, and each subsequent blade he threw stuck into the last one to form a long chain. The Brahmin then pulled the ball out of the well. Blade of grass. Anywhere else, the power of blade of grass? here, here this Brahmin used to put out that ball out. Blade of grass.
Romaharshan Sutta episode, Prabhu.
Romaharshana Sutta episode, yeah. Balramji killed Romaharshana Sutta with the blade of grass. Yeah, anywhere else?
Prabhuji, Rama empowering a blade of grass with the power of Brahmastra to chase Indra's son.
Yeah, Indra's son. What is his name? I also remember. I think Jayanta. Jayanta?
Yes, Prabhuji, Jayanta.
Yeah, correct. So there also you find blade of grass. Because blade of grass, where else you find the reference of blade of grass? It's very, very important.
Humility.
Humility. Third verse of Shikshashtakam, right? Trunadapi sunichena. Truna, right? Means blade of grass. So if the blade of grass can do these things, then what less can be? I mean, what more less things you need to help get it health. So yesterday we celebrated Nityananda Trayadashi. So Nityananda Prabhu also used to have a blade of grass holding and then request, Dante Trinadhari Gaura, Daki He Tumar. We hold blade of grass and then fall at the feet. Please take the names of God. Right. So humility, it represents humility. And to humble the people also, the blade of grass is sufficient. So Drona, I mean this Brahmana here, he used that blade of grass to show, Arey, this small blade of grass can do this work. What great power I need to show. The princes were astonished. This is truly wonderful. But let us now see. You raise the ring. So the ball was pierced with the blade of grass inside, and then one blade of grass was stuck automatically. And like that, he pulled it out. Then about the ring, what happened? The Brahmin borrowed one of the prince's bows and shot a single sharp pointed arrow into the well. With it, he brought up the ring, caught on the arrow's head. The princes crowded around him and asked him to reveal his identity. They had never seen such skill. The Brahmin told them to go to Bhishma and describe what they had seen. He would know his identity. The Brahmin said he would wait there until they return. Right? So, who is that Brahmin, and then what further details, how Bhishma gets to know about him, and then how many meals this Brahmin gets, that we'll study in our next week. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So the most important lesson today we learned about what? Anyone noted? 2-3 times it came in today's reading. What is today's lesson? Not to forget the lesson. Stories, I hope all of you remembered. Yuyutsu, yeah. So Yuyutsu, he helps tonight, but nothing could happen to the poison things. And then later the Kripa story we read, and now this Brahmin story. So the 3 episodes. Yeah. So the today's lesson is what? Yeah. Be vigilant on Maya. Be careful. And Maya comes in a various ways. Here Indra sent in the form of a beautiful girl, and then the sage got carried away. For us, it can come through various ways. We do time pass, we waste unnecessarily time, or we become, we behave arrogantly to our elders, our superiors, and then Maya takes away our intelligence. Right. So Maya means that which is not. We think that can make me happy, that can give me enjoyment, but then that is not. That is Maya, illusion. Right. So we have to be vigilant. Today's important point was be vigilant. So that's why we have to be properly planned. We should have a proper time schedule. What we should do, how shall I spend my time? Otherwise, idle mind is a devil's workshop. If you don't have a proper plan and proper engagement, then our mind will cheat us. Mind will go away with Maya instead of Krishna, under Maya. We have a choice. We cannot remain in the neutral state, either under Krishna or either under Krishna's energy, that is Maya, external energy. So as a devotee, we have to be careful. So Srila Prabhupada's life, this thing happened. With one episode, we'll end today's discussion. So Srila Prabhupada, he was going on a morning walk, and then he said to his disciples, what this Maya can do to me? Mr. Lust, I will kick Mr. Lust with my boot. Prabhupada was telling with the full confidence. And disciples were very impressed. Oh, great. But then after walking in the temple hall, Prabhupada was praying to the deities quite long time. And then the disciple asked Prabhupada, what you are praying so long? Prabhupada said that I pray, oh Lord, please protect me from Maya. The disciple was confused. Just now you said I will defeat Maya. What is this? So Prabhupada said, anyone know this episode? What Prabhupada replies? Prabhupada says, because I pray to the Lord, that's why I can say that I can defeat Maya. If I don't pray, then Maya, I will easily get carried away by Maya. Right? So pray so that we don't become prey. If we forget to pray, then we'll become prey to Maya. So that's why chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra every day morning we chant is like taking a Chavan Prash. That I was telling. We get immunity, we get a proper vigilance, we get a proper protection. But then if you forget to chant, if you forget to take association and then pray to the Lord and then learn about Krishna, then all our protection goes away. Then we become vulnerable to Maya. And that's what many students, they get addicted to bad habits. So why? Because this is a reason we are not vigilant. So we have to be watchful about our habits, about our time, how we are putting, where we are, and is it necessary or not. Otherwise, unnecessarily idle mind will make us devil out of us. That's why Prabhupada has given a good engagement. Many of you, right? Our Rashid Prabhu, Divesh Prabhu, they have made a nice notes, nice services they are doing. So all of you also need any services, you can contact us. Many wonderful services are there, you can engage. And if not, make sure you chant every day, read Prabhupada books, and then do your studies very nicely so that you need not to worry much to miss any sessions later. Then surely Krishna will protect us. Thank you all very much for joining and being with us with your association. Let us end with Vaishnava Pranam. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna.